The monster that became known as the Dover Demon was first sighted 45 years ago, and it is still one of Massachusetts and the world's greatest cryptid legends. A little gangly, hairless creature with huge glowing eyes was sighted 3 times over the course of approximately 25 and a half hours on April 21st and 22nd, 1977. The first documented sighting of the creature was made by Bill Bartlett. He reported seeing the monster for the first time in history around 10:30 p.m. on April 21st, 1977. Bartlett, who was 17 at the time, was traveling down Farm Street in his automobile with 2 buddies when he noticed an odd apparition in his headlights. "I see something ahead on the stone wall. I wasn't sure if it was a cat or a dog," Bartlett said. His headlights were striking this creature as they do when they strike an animal. The eyes of the entity were glowing. He got a really good look at what this beast was as he drew near. It turned closer in his direction, and he noticed something that resembled hands grabbing a rock. He continued to remain skeptical and sought the opinions of his pals. "Did you see that?" he asked. He was kind of stressing out at that moment, but they didn't see it. Bartlett was fortunate to have a photographic memory and artistic talent, so despite the fact that his experience only lasted for an estimated 7 or 8 seconds, he went home and drew what he saw, and presented it to his parents. Given that he wrote directly on the drawing, quote, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature. It has now become a well-known representation of the Dover Demon." The monster, in his description, had 2 sizable, round, luminous, glassy, lidless eyes that shone brightly like 2 orange marbles, appeared to be going on all 4s, and it had odd small feet and hands with lengthy digits. The head was the same size as the rest of the body and had a marble-like form. The body, which caught his attention as being peach in hue, had skin that he likened to shark skin and sandpaper. Bartlett was quoted to have said, "What I saw, it did happen. I don't know what it is, but I still saw it. It wasn't a hoax. It was 10 seconds while driving a car and I still remember it. To this day, it's still perplexing. Whatever it was strange looking." The second sighting was made by a teen named John Baxter. John Baxter, 15 years old, was returning home from his girlfriend's residence on the south end of Mill Hill Road at around midnight, almost 2 hours after Bartlett's sighting of the creature. He noticed something, a shadowy form walking erect like a small person up ahead of him. Baxter noticed the head size of the creature. He started yelling, "MJ, is that you?" since he was aware that a friend in the area had a head that was larger than usual. However, it wasn't him, and the monster made no comment. Up until they were roughly 15 feet apart, Baxter and the beast kept moving in direction of one another. Baxter then inquired, "Who is that?" Suddenly, the thing rushed off, dashed into a creek bed, climbed a small slope, and rested against a tree. Baxter never said anything more about it than that it was a creature that stood straight up against the tree and had the same shape as the tree, a large head and lanky fingers wrapping around the trunk. He noticed that the eyeballs were dimly blazing but colorless, despite the fact that the 2 boys weren't very close buddies and hadn't discussed Bartlett's sighting earlier that night. Baxter did draw what he saw, and it was remarkably similar to what Bartlett had drawn. Abby Brabham was the 3rd person that night who saw the Dover Demon. Abby Brabham, 15 years old at the time, and her boyfriend were traveling down Springdale Avenue the following night. Almost exactly 24 hours after Baxter reported seeing the creature, Abby saw what she later assumed to be the same creature that the 2 lads had seen the previous evening. In the headlights, Abby noticed something. The animal was crossing the street on all 4s. She thought it resembled a kind of monkey. It had a body that was beige or tannish beige, hairless, and lacked a nose, ears, or tail, although she characterized the eyes as being green, contrasting with Bartlett's sighting of the orange eyes and Baxter's story of colorless, luminous eyes. All 3 of the reported sightings described it in the same way, as having a featureless face with enormous lighting eyes. considering that the three teenagers didn't actually know each other all that well, and the sightings occurred during a week of school break. The sightings appeared to be real because they could not have tainted one another's accounts by exchanging information about it. They didn't fully realize that more than one of them had seen the thing until a few weeks had passed. It was interesting that the sightings were all within 1.5 miles of one another. Looking at a map, the locations of the sightings practically lined up perfectly, and they all occurred at almost the same time, which was another unusual coincidence. So what happened next? People sought to explain away the reports of the Dover demon almost immediately, despite the fact that sightings of moose in Massachusetts are incredibly rare, and even a newborn moose would have been far larger than the creature described. Several people claimed it might have been a baby moose. The idea that it was a horse foal was another. The town had a population of roughly 5,000 people at the time of the sightings. There were more horses than people in the town of Dover, but no animal traces or reports of lost foals were found. Some people have also asserted that what the three teenagers saw was simply a typical animal with mange, such as a dog or a fox. Bartlett said he knew what a mangy animal looked like, and it wasn't an animal he had ever seen before. Although it's possible that it was something earthly, those other creatures were smaller than this one, so it's unlikely. The author of the 2013 book Monsters of Massachusetts, Mysterious Creatures in the Bay State, the Dover demon does not fit the established patterns of ghosts, fairies, or euphonauts. True to its nickname, the Dover demon is a mystery, an animated aberration whose path crossed that one week in April 1977 with the lives of 4 respectable young people. The Dover demon is still known in popular culture today. A Japanese business created a figurine of the monster, and it also appears as a character in a comic book adaptation of the book called The Dover Demon. The beast from Massachusetts rose to legendhood in little more than a day and in the briefest of appearances. Or has it not been observed since then? Thank you for watching. Please consider the subscribe button. Any requests for new videos are very welcome in the comments below. Until next time.